Welcome back to Gentleman's Corner, guys. My name is David. Today I have a whiskey review for you, and the whiskey which I will be reviewing is this Chivas Regal 12-year-old blended Scotch whiskey. Now, as I said in my Splendid Saturday video a couple of weeks ago, we are in the middle of Texas pollen season, so I'm interspersing whiskey videos in with all of my pipe videos to try and get me through the season before my allergies kill me. Now today I have actually a fairly open nasal passage, and so I'm really looking forward to tasting this whiskey. I think I'm going to get a lot out of it. So first of all, Chivas Regal is the #1 selling 12-plus-year-old Scotch or whiskey in Europe, according to some magazine. It's the #1. They sold, was it 4.9 million units in 2013 and 14, and 4.5 million units the following year. So I mean, it's a pretty well-known whiskey. It's also fairly nice on the budget. It's right in the middle of the road between a cheap, bottom shelf whiskey and, a $300 bottle. So I would say it's right down the middle in terms of budget. A 750 milliliter bottle is going to cost you about $30 to $45. And I know that sounds like a broad range, but what I'm trying to account for is that every state has their own alcohol tax. So in Texas, this is going to be anywhere from $30 to $35, but in a state where the alcohol taxes are higher, it might be closer to $40 or $45. It really just depends on your local laws. So take all the prices that I am listing out with a grain of sand or a grain of salt. Now, this is not the smallest bottle. Actually, you can get them in the little single tasters, and the next size up would be the little sampler bottles. But this is the size that I'm most familiar with. This is the 750 milliliter bottle, which is what most liquor bottles are. Now, it does come in a 1 liter bottle and a 1.75 liter bottle, which to me is just getting a little bit excessive unless you're throwing a party and everyone really likes whiskey. A 1.75 liter bottle is going to run you anywhere between $60 and $80 depending on your local taxes. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and read the description for you. Chivas Regal 12-year-old Scotch, aged in handcrafted casks for a minimum of 12 years. Chivas Regal's smooth, rich style has been safeguarded by generations of master blenders, making the Chivas Regal name famous throughout the world for over a century. Now, Chivas Regal is 40% ABV, or 80 proof for those of you who prefer the proof system, and is made in Scotland. It is actually made in the Speyside region, which is why and that region is known for having sweeter, brighter whiskeys than maybe some of the Highlands, which are very dark and very peaty and smoky. That's not going to be Chivas Regal. In my opinion, Chivas is probably one of the better starting whiskeys, honestly. This was the very first whiskey that I ever drank. When I was 20 years old, I did a study abroad semester in London, and I remember reading on the flight over to Europe in the duty-free magazine on the flight, reading about all the different kinds of whiskeys and reading the flavor profiles. And I saw Chivas, and that was the first thing that drew me was the description of the tasting notes. And it was things like fruit, chocolate, honey, vanilla. So I was very excited to try it. And true to form, it actually does have most of those notes. Not that I could taste them at the time, although that has since changed. So, getting into the whiskey itself, I have poured myself a little bit here in a Glencairn glass. And so I'm going to go ahead and hold this up, and I'm going to have a little video up here so that you can see what I'm looking at. So, overall, has good color. This is a very light to medium amber color. Has good legs on it. So as I'm swirling it, it's getting pretty nice way up the glass, which is very nice. Going into the bouquet, very, very sweet. This has got a lot of honey, vanilla, almost a cakey quality, honestly. It's very desserty, very desserty. It's got a lot of those sweet flavors. So now, as I demonstrated in my How to Taste Whiskey video, which is linked in the description box below this video, I'm going to perform a two-tiered tasting method, which is the first sip is merely to get my palate used to the alcohol content, and then the second is once I've gotten through the burn, I should be able to taste all of the true notes. So I'm going to do this. So first the burn off. Woo! All right. Here we go. All right, all right. One more. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, tasting notes on Chivas Regal. I do get a lot of creaminess. There is definitely a very creamy, velvety quality, especially on the finish. The start is very harsh because your palate's trying to get used to the alcohol content. Now, once that burns off, it does have a very smooth, very sweet, almost a honey-esque flavor to it. And I'm picking up notes of honey. There's a little bit of dark fruit in there, but it's very, very much in the background. I do get a very, I get a chocolate note, but it's not like milk chocolate or dark chocolate. It's very distinctly a white chocolate. And the reason I know that is I don't taste the cocoa necessarily the way I would expect from a darker chocolate. I taste the creaminess and the richness, but I don't taste the cocoa. Now, the other thing that is missing from this whiskey is heavy notes of wood, peat, smoke. None of those are going to be in this whiskey. This is a very light whiskey in terms of its flavor profile. This is not a heavy burly whiskey. So in that regard, this is almost a dessert drink to me. This is maybe something I would have after a meal of, I don't know, maybe fish or chicken. This is not an after steak kind of drink. This is something that I would say for maybe not special occasions, but just, maybe not break it out as my everyday whiskey, but maybe something just to kind of mix it up. To break myself away from some of the heavier, peatier whiskeys that I like. Overall, it's a solid whiskey. I can see why it's so popular in Europe. Now, the other big thing about this that I do like is its price point. At $30 for a 750 milliliter bottle, I don't feel as bad drinking it fairly often. Now, the other thing that I will say for this whiskey is because it is so sweet, I do think that it is a very good beginner whiskey. Now, is that saying that the first person who drinks this, if this is their first taste of alcohol ever, is going to like it? No. Absolutely not. They will hate it. Because it's almost a rule that your first taste of alcohol you're not going to like unless it's like a Moscato wine or something. But until you get used to the taste of alcohol itself, you're not really going to learn to enjoy darker spirits. And whiskey is no exception. It is an acquired taste, but I think that Chivas is a great place to start. And I think that for the price point, you're not making a huge investment for a relatively nice payoff. Overall, on a scale of A to F, I give Chivas Regal a B+. And the reason for that is it would be an A, but just for me, it's not quite there. It doesn't quite scratch all the itches that I have when I'm looking for a good glass of whiskey. It's missing the bottom note. that there is a lot of highs in it, there's a lot of mediums, but there's no bass note in the orchestra here. And that's something that I feel like it's missing, and I would benefit from having that. So overall, that is my review of Chivas Regal 12-year-old blended Scotch. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and please do hit the notification button next to the subscribe button. It looks like a little bell, and it will send you a notification anytime I upload a new video. If you'd like to connect with me on other social media, you can find my links to my Twitter and Instagram in the description box below this video. Other than that, guys, my name is David. This has been a whiskey review on Gentleman's Corner. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are and whenever you're watching this, and other than that, have a good one.